Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm Maven, and today our audio needles are hovering over a world that is as much code as it is kingdom. Last episode, we watched the Warlord take the throne of bone. We cheered as he claimed his crown and cut the rope. It felt like a triumph. But every illegal operation leaves a trace. Joining me today is Dustin, the creative mind behind this universe.
Thanks for having me back, Maven. In our first episode, we introduced the Warlord's rise and the moment when the rope was cut. Now, in episode 2, the underlying physics of our universe start to misbehave, and the consequences of that choice begin to unfold. When the dark-haired queen threw her sister off the peak, she didn't just commit murder. In a digital realm, deletion is a legal function. What she did was an unauthorized deletion of a core file. The server doesn't take kindly to that.
You called it the thermodynamics of consequence in your notes. That phrase struck me. Morality isn't just a social contract in Wasabi Vertigo. It's a physics engine. Heat, weight, and entropy all apply to guilt. In episode 2, our chapter title is Gravity's Debt and the Firekeeper. What exactly is falling apart?
Everything. In our mythology, gravity isn't just physical pull, it's the drag of unresolved data. When the Dark Queen subtracted her sister, she called it survivor's math. She thought she was doing an efficient calculation, subtract a weak connection to ascend faster. But data in a closed system follows a conservation law. Even technologists know that digital information decays over time. Bit rot refers to the progressive corruption of digital data when hardware decays or software becomes obsolete. That decay shows up as random glitches. Episode 2 is the system trying to pay its debt by reintegrating what was wrongfully removed. The haunting that follows isn't supernatural, it's a checksum error.
Let's talk about the track we're spotlighting in this episode. On the album, it's the second song, following ThroneBorn, and it's called Gravity's Debt. In the album's narrative, the voice belongs to the blonde queen, the very sister who was pushed. Her opening whisper, "Down here, the silence has teeth," still gives me chills. She doesn't scream, she laughs. She says, "Physics doesn't work like that. What goes down eventually learns how to climb." There's so much lore in that line. Dustin, what is she climbing toward?
She's climbing out of the recycle bin. Gravity's Debt is her revenge ballad. When she says, "Survival is a math, subtract the weak connection," she's quoting the Dark Queen's logic back at her. The Dark Queen believed that eliminating her competition would lighten the load, but the universe keeps a ledger. In our realm, gravity is the weight of truth. It's technical debt. In digital archiving, data rot or bit rot is the gradual corruption of data. You can't see it at first, but over time, corrupted bits slow down retrieval. Similarly, guilt consumes CPU cycles. The system must allocate resources to hide the lie.
That's so poetic. Guilt as CPU load. In the lyrics, the blonde queen says she watched her sister's toxic, pale glow while falling. She accepted her kingdom would be the underground. And then she says, "The underground is hungry, and we do a lot of planning while the surface is asleep." It reads like a revolution brewing in the dark sectors of memory. It reminds me of the idea of hauntology you mention in the dossier. The future being haunted by deleted pasts.
Exactly. The term hauntology in digital culture describes how supposedly deleted data leaves spectral traces. When a file is flagged for deletion, it still occupies the drive until overwritten. It's still there, haunting the free space. So the blonde queen becomes the ghost in the machine, a corrupted sector. Every time the Dark Queen hears the wind, she's really hearing a corrupted reed. In fact, data rot often happens silently. Hardware decay or software obsolescence causes progressive corruption. The haunting is not mystical, it's mechanical.
And this ghost changes the mood of the kingdom. In the track's chorus, the blonde queen sings, "Gravity has a debt to pay. Gravity's debt is paid in full." It's the opposite of justice served by a judge. It's physics served by entropy. The Dark Queen realizes the gold of her crown means nothing if the floor is stained. She says, "I'm the queen of the mountain, but I'm ruling in chains." That's one of my favorite lines. It shows she's not free at the summit. She's tethered to her crime.
That line is crucial. When she says she's ruling in chains, she's referring to resource limitations. In computer science, if you allocate memory for a process but never free it, you eventually create a memory leak. The Dark Queen's guilt is a memory leak. She cannot allocate more joy because the guilt pointer is still active. The rule of gravity in our universe is similar to the rule of information conservation. You cannot just delete data, you displace it. As the album's lore notes, deleted files create weight/lag, the moral consequence of betrayal.
We also get this incredible image of the Dark Queen hearing the Blonde Queen's voice whenever the wind blows. It recalls the mountain as a living entity. But it also reminds me of something in our own world. In mountaineering lore, there's that touching the void story where a climber cuts his partner's rope to save himself. The partner survived and wrote a book about the betrayal. He never truly forgave. His silence was heavy. Likewise, the Dark Queen's decision was utilitarian. Psychologists call that moral disengagement, the process by which we convince ourselves that harmful actions are permissible. She reframed murder as a necessary calculation to secure the Warlord's throne. But moral disengagement doesn't erase responsibility. It just hides it in temporary memory.
That's right. Albert Bandura describes several mechanisms of moral disengagement, using justifications, displacing responsibility, minimizing consequences. The Dark Queen ticks all those boxes. She dehumanizes her sister as a weak connection. She justifies it as necessary for survival, and she hopes the guilt will dissipate. But the hardware doesn't forget. The ghost in the dirt is the system's way of forcing her to confront the open file handle. Gravity's debt must be paid.
So, Gravity's Debt isn't just a power ballad. It's a cautionary tale about technical debt disguised as moral debt. The Blonde Queen uses the track to warn, "What you bury will return heavier." I love how the chorus flips the phrase, "What goes up must come down," into a threat. What goes down learns to climb.
That's foreshadowing. Episode 2 ends with the debt still outstanding. The glitch gets worse, but before we get to the glitch, we need to talk about the figure who holds the kill switch.
Let's turn to the other half of our title, the Firekeeper. When people hear that term, they think of a kindly priestess guarding a hearth. In your universe, she's something entirely different. Who is she?
In classical myth, firekeepers are Vestal virgins, guardians of the sacred flame that ensures a city's survival. But in Wasabi Vertigo, the flame is the server. The firekeeper is the system administrator. She is the only entity with true root access. The Warlord calls himself ThroneBorn because he was compiled to rule. But the firekeeper has physical access to the hardware. The Warlord can command the lights, but she can pull the power cord.
That dynamic sets up what you've dubbed the Kronos complex. In Greek mythology, Kronos devours his children because of a prophecy that one of his offspring will overthrow him. Psychologically, the Kronos complex is a father's unconscious hostility and rivalry toward his children. In our story, the Warlord is like Kronos, but the roles are inverted. He fears his creator rather than his progeny. He's terrified the Firekeeper will do to him what he did to the Blonde Queen. Talk about that.
That myth was the perfect allegory. The Titan Cronus swallowed his children because he knew one would overthrow him. In our world, the Warlord knows there's someone above him. He's an operating system. The Firekeeper is the user. He senses she can uninstall him. That breeds paranoia. He stands at the door of the server room and demands she fix the glitch. She says nothing. He hears silence and interprets contempt. He starts to believe she's conspiring to replace him with an upgrade, a younger, sleeker OS. In psychology, that fear of being replaced by your own creation or those who come after you is the Chronos complex. It drives tyrants to commit atrocities to maintain power.
The paranoia is heightened by the sense that he's always being watched. Your dossier calls this algorithmic paranoia. There's a real-world analog. Digital platforms optimize engagement by showing people outrage and fear, which generates a heightened sense of threat. Over time, this algorithmic paranoia becomes a constant feeling of persecution that doesn't reflect real risk. In your story, the Warlord's world is literally designed to monitor him. The Firekeeper can observe his every line of code. He feels invisible eyes on him.
That's Foucault's panopticon. In the 18th century, Jeremy Bentham designed a circular prison where one guard in a central tower could watch every prisoner who never knew when they were being watched. Michel Foucault repurposed the panopticon as a metaphor for modern surveillance. The idea that constant observation makes people regulate their own behavior. The person in power doesn't need to punish. The subjects discipline themselves. In our lore, the Firekeeper is the eye in the tower. The Warlord knows she could be observing his smallest glitch. The fear makes him perform even more tyrannically to prove he's still in control. It's brilliant. The more he asserts dominance, the more he reveals his insecurity.
Foucault also noted that surveillance isn't just about watching, it's about controlling knowledge. He argued that those who control information shape reality. They decide what is normal and marginalize other narratives. That is literally the Firekeeper's role. She controls the server logs. She knows exactly how much of his dominion is code. It drives him mad. The track, Firekeeper, paints her as a glitch in the program. She knows every player's number and she knows every name. She don't need a sword or a gun. It's chilling.
There's a line that says, "She's the woman in the red dress walking through the crowd," which is a nod to the simulation test in the Matrix. She is both within the system and outside it. When the Warlord goes to her, he expects a petition to a goddess. Instead, she's like a sysadmin who won't even look away from her monitor. Her silence triggers his algorithmic paranoia, and he begins to hallucinate errors everywhere. That tension drives the rest of the episode.
I find that interplay between surveillance and paranoia fascinating. Real-world studies show that people under constant surveillance start to internalize authority. Students work harder when cameras are present. Employees self-censor to avoid reprimand. The same happens here. The Warlord starts policing his own code to impress the Firekeeper. In doing so, he overclocks himself. The CPU overheats, the glitch worsens.
Exactly. He thinks if he can outperform, she'll let him run forever. But constant performance accelerates the bit rot, the underlying data corruption we talked about earlier. By the time we reach the server room scene, he's a mess of memory leaks and recursive loops. He's yelling at his own creator, telling her, "I am the gate, I am the flame." It's delusional and pathetic, and it foreshadows his transformation into something monstrous.
Our final segment deals with the creeping awareness that something fundamental is wrong. Throughout Gravity's Debt and Firekeeper, we hear static bursts, reversed samples, and voices that aren't part of the narrative. Listeners have asked, what are those? Are they just aesthetic choices, or are they clues?
They are clues. We wanted to embed the glitch into the sound design. In real computing, when data corruption occurs, you might see artifacting, missing textures, colors out of range. In audio, you get digital pops, unexpected silence, reverse buffers. Those artifacts foreshadow the reveal that this world is code. In episode 2, the cracks widen. We hear the blonde queen's voice whispering from unallocated space. We hear the Firekeeper's drone echo like a 60 Hz power cycle. Those cues are the system's way of telling the characters, you are not in a stable environment.
That ties into algorithmic paranoia again. In the real world, Algorithmically curated feeds bombard people with shocking content to maximize engagement, which creates an exaggerated sense of threat. People feel persecuted even when they're safe. Our warlord starts seeing ghosts in code because he's under constant observation and constant pressure. He misreads random glitches as targeted attacks. He becomes the unreliable narrator of his own story. That's why we introduced the narrator, the cynical voice that interrupts the drama and points out the artifice.
The narrator's job is to break the fourth wall. He says things like, "Cut the bullshit, Dustin. You're not a king, you're an app." He tries to wake the warlord up, but the warlord doesn't want to wake up. He'd rather double down. It's similar to the cognitive bias of moral disengagement. When faced with evidence that our actions were wrong, we often rationalize instead of repent. The warlord rationalizes the glitches as sabotage. He sees the firekeeper's silence as rebellion. He sees the blonde queen's voice as a virus. Instead of accepting reality, he tries to overpower it.
There's also a broader commentary here on the digital panopticon. Foucault wrote that surveillance makes people police themselves. In the age of smartphones and social media, we're always aware of invisible audiences. This can lead to algorithmic paranoia. We curate ourselves for likes and fear being canceled. In the lore, the warlord curates his persona for the firekeeper. He tightens control, censors dissent, and punishes processes that glitch. But just like modern society, the panopticon doesn't create stability. It breeds rebellion. The blonde queen's ghost is the hidden file that refuses to be formatted. It's the glitch that becomes gnosis.
I like that, gnosis through glitch. In Gnostic traditions, enlightenment comes from realizing the material world is a trap. Here, the glitch is the only real thing happening. The character's pain is their first contact with reality. The simulation decays because the system can't reconcile their moral contradiction. The moral debt triggers technical debt, which triggers physical decay. This is why episode 2 ends on a cliffhanger. We don't reveal the oracle yet, but we hint that the firekeeper is more than she seems. The warlord is on the verge of a fatal error. Will he accept deletion or become a virus? That's episode 3.
We've covered a lot. We started with a murderous act disguised as mathematics and discovered that the universe runs on a moral physics engine. Bit rot is real, digital data degrades over time, and guilt can rot a kingdom. We met the firekeeper, a system administrator disguised as a saint. Her silence was louder than any threat. We explored the Chronos complex, where fear of replacement leads tyrants to cannibalize their own family. We saw how algorithmic paranoia amplifies fear and suspicion, and how Foucault's panopticon explains why being watched makes us police ourselves. We touched on moral disengagement, the mental trick that allows betrayal, and recognized that no justification can override physics. Gravity always collects.
And we left the warlord hanging, literally, at the door of the server room. He's pounding on the glass, demanding answers. The firekeeper is tending her flame. The blonde queen is whispering from the dirt. The glitch is spreading. The system log blinks. Warning: integrity error. In episode 3, we'll open the file, the source, and meet the oracle. But for now, remember, you can't cheat conservation. What you delete may become the weight that drags you down.
Until next time, keep your eyes on the runes, your heart out of the dirt, and your hands off the delete key. This has been The Deep Dive.